It's so easy for us to criticize others who don't align with our personal interests. If you're anything like me, you find vaping absolutely ridiculous, absolutely autistic. Sticking that Chinese toy that lights up with LEDs whenever you breathe through it. The air is literally flavored like it's catered to an autist. Look at me, oh, it lights up. It could be because I have an innate biased hatred towards people who vape, simply because I just don't see the point in it. But I observe that generally those people who vape are unintelligent, mindless, fucking retards who can't utter a sentence properly. And these degenerate teenagers, right, that you just kind of want to smack sometimes. But look, when we criticize other people's bad habits, we forget that we literally sit with our bellies sticking out, sinking into that toilet seat or your bed or your chair, and your mouth breathing and you're violently stroking your womb. Like, it's disgusting, it's abhorrent. What are you doing? How can we even shit on other people's bad habits? Other people's overconsumption of sugar, vaping, smoking, drinking, alcoholism, as we stroke our womb. And you're gonna pull up the freaking benefits and defend your case against me, or masturbating increases testosterone. If I watch other people have sex on a screen, it's healthy for me. I will experience less stress. Oh my god, masturbate. People have masturbated when they were cavemen, therefore it must be good to stroke my womb. We cannot visualize ourselves being classy, sophisticated, competent people. We can't walk around with supreme confidence in ourselves when we know for a fact that we rub our meats frantically alone in a room and then cope with some nonsense benefits that aren't even that good. And are they even true? And then cope with how indulging in it in moderation is good for you. Then why isn't indulging in vaping in moderation good for you? No, it's not. Bad habits in moderation are not good for you. Sure, socially they can be fun. If you can argue that there are so many benefits to porn, then why don't you argue that vaping is okay in moderation? You don't think so, right? I hope not. Because it's autistic. It's autistic to you. It doesn't align with your personal interests. But think about it. What really is bad about vaping? Both porn and vape do not have much foreseeable long-term detriments, long-term consequences, because it just hasn't been around for that long yet. These consequences are speculation for the most part. Of course, there's clear evidence that nicotine is bad for you and shit like that. But ultimately, the effect is not that bad. The consequence is not that tremendous. Like, even if nicotine is bad for you long term, right? Alcohol is bad for you long term, but you're still going to drink a little bit now and then. You're still going to be a social drinker. If you're invited out of your friends, you're still going to drink a little bit, but it's bad for you long term, but you're still going to do it. And that's okay in moderation because it's fun, right? Porn has become a very hilarious part of our culture, and if you can't banter back and forth with the topic of porn, you could be ostracized, right? That's why it's so difficult to quit, because you want to be included sometimes. Of course, that's not the main reason that makes it difficult to quit. It feels real good to blast your milk into your hand. And we forget that there are many, many people with crippling addictions to it, and how us keeping up this culture could affect them. Not that I'm going to stop because it's funny, right? They should be educated to be more careful. I'm not gonna stop joking about porn because it's absolutely hilarious. Even the fitness influencer Larry Wheels spent a shit ton of money on cam girls and stroking his worm even though he had a partner. We're all victims to it. And since everyone does it, you can't help but convince yourself that it's good for you. Or it's healthy in moderation. It's fine because it's not going to take away from my physical longevity or my ultimate well-being. When I would eat 4 eggs a day in the morning, I was criticized for it, for the high amounts of cholesterol. And all my relatives all said how unhealthy that is for me, while they open their 4th packet of Oreos and chew it all down, because you must enjoy life a little. The next time we want to laugh at someone vaping, you have to remember, you still stroke your womb. You still sit in the toilet for extended periods of time, yanking the spam. You still lie flat on your bed doing cowgirl with your hand, because you can't fall asleep without it. Quit porn for yourself, so you stop subconsciously doubting your self-image. What consuming a bad habit in moderation does is builds negative productive momentum, as I would like to call it, because you find that it's okay to pick up more bad habits. As you allow bad habits into your life, you're just going to think the next bad habit is okay in moderation. Alcohol is okay in moderation. Smoking is okay in moderation. Weed is okay in moderation. Vaping is okay in moderation. You fall into this downward spiral, and then your life becomes less and less productive. Of course, things like alcohol is a very big part of our culture. Socially, I don't want you to miss out on any of those wonderful events, right? I think those experiences are very important, and alcohol can bring people together. That's pretty freaking cool. As you build that negative momentum, you start to hunt more and more sources of instant dopamine, instead of being present in the moment, instead of living, instead of chasing your dreams. Spraying your milk takes away all your drive and energy in the mornings, your focus. Your lust brings motivation, encourages you to find love, encourage you to improve yourself, to become more ambitious for more status, to take care of yourself more so you look better in order to attract women. It gives you that drive, that innate desire, and you rob yourself of all those experiences if you release that drive. If you shoot the white liquids, then around women, you'll be depolarized, you'll be less willing to push yourself, you'll be less desperate for the feminine energy. Watching porn is sedating your natural motivation to improve. You know, that instinctual hunger for procreation, no matter how autistic that sounds. Unleashing your Milky Way releases oxytocin, which is kind of a feel-good chemical, a stress reliever, and that's why porn is so addictive and satisfying. However, this means that creates an unhealthy form of escapism, a terrible dependency, avoiding your problems and boinking your Johnson every time you're stressed and anxious, and that will make life around you worse and worse before you even notice it. Don't get me wrong, there are ridiculous amounts of dependencies we cling on to. To clear up our capacity and function normally, we need to depend on things. We need to rely on certain structures and habits to keep ourselves in place so we don't have to constantly think about all this and confront the entire world at every moment in time. We need to depend on certain things and trust that certain things won't change. There are necessary dependencies. If not, we'll go insane. Porn is not one of them. Unhealthy dependencies can prove ruthlessly detrimental to our lives. Putting on your earpiece when you're out with your friends to comfort your socially anxious self. Drinking when things get difficult. Toying with the glizzy every morning, every night, every shower, every toilet visit. Smoking and vaping risk throwing away opportunities, risk you accumulating momentum to indulge in other bad habits, risk you hurting the ones you love around you, risk you losing a few years that you could spend watching your grandkids grow up, and risk that you never find your beautiful romance. Sure, there are exceptions. Sure, I don't know if the dependencies will 100% affect you negatively. And sure, I don't know whether the detriment is worth it for your situation. But for my context, I will critically consider and analyze, and I'll weigh the cost and benefits, right? I'd rather not lie to myself or act like everything is good in moderation. If it doesn't align with my goals or the person I wish to be, I'm not gonna do it, and I'm not gonna lie to myself. I'm gonna do whatever I can to fight this. I'm not acting like I'm some saint who doesn't indulge in these bad habits. Let's not pretend like our lives won't be slightly better without these bad habits. And why not chase that slightly better? It's not the end of the world having bad habits. Everyone indulged in countless hours of video games at one point in their lives. Drinks now and then, processed sugar now and then, unhealthy junk food now and then. And a lot of these bad habits are ingrained into our culture and can be very beautiful. Brings people together, creates cultural satire. It's pretty damn cool, but I do think that everyone should make an informed decision before they indulge in a bad habit. Be aware of what you're risking, be aware of the life you could throw away, the people associated with these bad habits. Are you compatible with them? If you're aware you're addicted, I love you, and I genuinely wish that you end up where you wish to be. You can fight this. And there's plenty of things you can try to get over your addiction. Take your time, you got this. One step at a time. Don't sedate the attraction you have for women. Breathe in that intense rush you get when you're next to someone you're attracted to. And let that drive become your will to escalate things. To build wonderful relationships. Even when you fail, breathe it in, try your best not to drown that heartbreak in rapid worm stroking. When you sit in that frustration and desperation, your biological urge to attract women drives you to make better decisions. Improve your looks, confidence, and status. Your opportunity goes up. The people you meet goes up. The person you become goes up. Your self-esteem goes up as you invest in yourself more. Quit porn. For yourself. Stop lying to yourself. I love you. Good luck. To better world.